to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing the soft reboot and brand new movie in the Men in Black franchise, Men in Black International. Now this movie should have been so much better than it was. It was like a fresh take on the Men in Black franchise with a fantastic double act in Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, fresh off the set of Avengers Endgame. But unfortunately, this movie just lacks charm, energy, and effective storytelling. Now the movie uses the standard formula that all the Men in Black movies have used in terms of having two undercover agents that are looking to fight intergalactic crime and save the world from aliens effectively. This time we have two new agents. So we have Agent H, who is played by Chris Hemsworth, who plays a kind of arrogant and bashful kind of top agent. And then we have Agent M, who is played by Tessa Thompson, and she's a new agent and witnessed the other agents neuralizing her parents years and years and years ago while she was a child. Neuralizing is that device where they flash it in someone's face and then they suddenly forget what they've just seen. So Tessa Thompson's character witnessed this happening when she was a child, and as such throughout her entire life has been trying to find the agency, be a part of the agency, join the agency, and just kind of find out more about this whole world. Now with this formula, the producers honestly could have made it such a good storyline that was really engaging, that was really exciting, that was really inspiring, that was really, you know, overall just really adrenaline fueled. And you know, there are some nice chase sequences and the travel aspect of the movie is really, really cool, but in terms of the actual storyline, it's just really, really weak and really boring, especially the first half. You are going to be looking at your watch because, you know, you're just not going to be enjoying it that much because it is a lot of just kind of getting through it in the first half, and yeah, it's just not really that engaging. The second half of the movie, you know, it does pick up a little bit and it kind of gets the storyline, kind of gets going and stuff, but not enough to kind of make up for the first half of the movie and not enough to kind of just make it a good movie overall. So yeah, unfortunately I would say from a storyline point of view, it is really weak and uninspiring. So as far as the actors go, they have got a stellar cast in this movie, but unfortunately it doesn't translate that well into great characters. Some are good, some are not so good, so it's really mixed in this department. So obviously we have Chris Hemsworth in this movie, and he is the main male lead in this film. He kind of carries the film, and he's playing kind of like a very charming, very bashful type agent who has a lot of previous success as an agent, so he's kind of at the top of his game and is kind of coasting a little bit. He's kind of taking his place for granted in this film. And you know, as far as Chris Hemsworth's acting style goes, he channels a lot of his inner comedian. He's a lot more of the Thor Ragnarok type character that we've seen before, so it's a lot more on the comedic, light-hearted, funny side. That said though, some of the jokes don't really land that well, so that's a bit cringeworthy. But you know, overall Chris Hemsworth tries to do as good of a job as he can do with the material that he's given. We then have Tessa Thompson, who plays the female lead in this film, and Tessa Thompson's character, I feel, is kind of like the audience's eyes and ears in this world. You know, she's entering this new Men in Black world, and she kind of brings the audience with her into kind of seeing what this whole Men in Black, Women in Black world is like. So that's really, really cool, and I feel like, you know, because of that, she's able to be really relatable with the audience. The audience can kind of really resonate and relate with all the kind of cool gadgets that she's seeing and this whole new world that she's kind of being exposed to. So, you know, her character development in this film is really, really cool, from kind of being a child that kind of sees her parents being neuralized as a child and then kind of grows up and enters the whole Men in Black, Women in Black world and then kind of is a part of it. So yeah, her character development and her character arc is really, really good. Emma Thompson is also in this movie. She isn't in this movie that much. I wish that they kind of had more of her character because she engages really, really well with Tessa Thompson's character. But you know, that said, she is kind of like the connector between the original trilogy and this new soft reboot. So, you know, it is part of that universe, and this film is kind of showing different agents and different adventures. So, you know, Emma Thompson's character is the one that kind of connects the two together. We then have the villains, and the villains in this film honestly are just so bad. they just don't have any character development, whereas Tessa Thompson's character has great character development. The villains do not have any character development. You don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. You don't know, what their whole motive is, and because of that, you can't really engage with them. Whereas, the villains in the other Men in Black movies, you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. They pose a threat. They kind of have good engagement with the two leads of the movie. Whereas in this one, they're more just like, just stopping them kind of progressing, and they have decent fight sequences, but there's no real, engagement between the two characters, and because of that, the villains just really fall flat. They seem to be a lot more of, kind of like the Winter Soldier type aspect from the Winter Soldier movie, whereby, every now and again they'll just come and slow down the agents doing what they're supposed to be doing. But other than that, the villains are just really, really poor in this movie. The visuals in this movie are great. The whole world of the Men in Black is really realistic because the visuals are really, really good. And when they use all the different weapons and kind of all the battle sequences, all of that looks really, really cool. Another excellent aspect of this movie that I personally really, really enjoyed was the traveling. So you get to travel all across the world with these two characters, and that's really, really cool. The whole different places that they go to look really, really beautiful. All of the different fight sequences, all of the different chase sequences, all the different stunt sequences, everything looks really, really cool. And yeah, I mean, it's an intergalactic movie with loads of different aliens, so it could have looked really, really bad, but fortunately, the visuals really, really make it a good movie. That said, it doesn't make up for the fact that the storyline isn't that great, but in terms of visuals, this movie is really, really good. In terms of comparisons, the obvious comparison is to compare this movie to the original trilogy. The original trilogy is great. I mean, the Men in Black movies are great, sweeter movies. They're really enjoyable, they're really fun, they're really light-hearted, they're really enjoyable. So, they're great, sweeter movies. And when I heard that they're going to be doing a spin-off, I was honestly quite pleasantly surprised, because I thought, they've established a great world, and, it does kind of lend itself to see what other agents are up to, and kind of, it's not just about Will Smith's character and Tommy Lee Jones' character. There's going to be other agents, and it's going to be nice to kind of see what else they do. And especially then on top of that, when they said Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson are going to be leading it, I thought, this is going to be a great recipe for success. But that said, compared to the original trilogy, it just doesn't stack up. It really should have, because, it's a modern take and they have so much potential for it to be great. But, the weak storytelling, the really bad villains, and just the overall structure of the movie just wasn't as good as it should be. And especially when compared to the original trilogy, it just does not kind of compare at all. But, it is an enjoyable movie in some ways, but in terms of comparatively to the original trilogy, it just is not as good. Overall, I would say Men in Black International is a classic case of a movie that should have been and could have been so much better than it actually was. Men in Black International just had so much potential. They had a fantastic franchise that has established itself to have a really good reputation, great characters, great storytelling, great visuals, and just an overall good time. And the fact that they were taking it in a fresh new direction with great characters and great actors associated with it just had the recipe of being great. But unfortunately, the villains, the overall storytelling, and just the overall direction that the movie took just did not make up for it. I hope that they do a sequel, because I feel like this franchise has got potential and has got legs in it, and I feel like if they learn from their mistakes, they can really make a good movie that's kind of taken this franchise in a brand new direction. So I hope they do a sequel, and maybe in the third Men in Black International they can bring in the original cast, and we can have Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones and Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson and Emma Thompson, and everyone in kind of like a nice reunion fashion. But let's hope that they kind of are able to do that. But as far as this movie goes, unfortunately it's just really weak, it's really disappointing, and because of those reasons I am going to give it a 4 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.